Brian, can you guess what I have for dinner? Okay. What are you eating? Do I get guesses? Thick chili? What's up, Jan? How are you doing? You guys having a good Thursday so far? I'm interested in what Brian is talking about because I love chili, but something tells me it's just not regular chili. What's up, Ken? I'm good. Unfortunately, Ken, I didn't do my hip thrusts today. So I didn't have any awkward moments at the gym because I was actually playing tennis, working on some volleys, and didn't turn out so well. Thankfully, I wasn't recording anything. What's up, tennis elbow? I'm hoping you actually don't have tennis elbow. But, oh, so you're in Minneapolis. So right now in Wisconsin, I think it was a high of 69. Nice. Nice. 69 degrees in Wisconsin. I don't know how hot it was up there for you. But I actually went for a 2-mile run today, which is kind of weird to do a 2-mile shirtless run in November. Why can't you play, Jan? No, tennis elbow. What's worse than tennis elbow? What's up, Adrian? How you doing? My string clamps are they're original. Thankfully, I haven't needed to oil them up, which I know is pretty common in tennis stringing, and it's been pretty good so far. Bone spurs and bone chips on the elbow. I've only heard of bone spurs and bone chips on the legs and feet. Are you like a power lifter or something, tennis elbow? Because I've never heard of that. It could also be genetic. So, rest up, and do you need surgery for that? Hey, Jose, you want to switch locations with me? Because I would do very, very unspeakable things in order to get 87-degree weather in the beginning of November. Oh, you are getting elbow surgery. So how long are you going to be out? Because I've never heard of surgery for any type of bone spur before. Usually it's just a little bit of PT, a lot of ice, obviously, and rest. Yeah, Jan, I don't know. I'm pretty sure these are original because I did buy it used about 2.5 years ago. So, I mean, was yours a gamma progression too, Jan? Because that's my model. Oh, they tested positive? Well, first of all, are the people that tested positive, are they like relatively healthy? I'm hoping they don't have any pre-existing conditions. And are you getting tested? Because I know that's kind of important. Yeah, let me know how the AliExpress thing, base clamps go, Jan. I'm interested in that. Esley, I don't use any multi or synthetic gut strings just because if I were to use even a hybrid if I were to use like some sort of synthetic gut or a multi on the crosses, it's gonna break within an hour or hour 15 of hitting just because of the pace that I am able to put on the ball. Thankfully, I can still swing pretty damn fast, so that's why I don't use a multi. Although in the future, by future I mean like maybe 12 to 18 months from now, I am thinking about reviewing not just polys as tennis strings, but also synthetic guts and multis. So let me know what you think about that, guys, if you want me to, in the future, not near future, to do non-polyester tennis string reviews. Because if that's something you guys want, I will most definitely do it. Ooh, shaving the spurs. How long of a recovery is that for you, tennis elbow? Hey, Adrienne, is that, am I pronouncing it right? Probably not. I'm sorry. Oh, you tested positive. Well, first of all, did you win your tennis match in USTA? And how are your symptoms? It's varied across the people that I know personally that have had it. And thankfully, no one has ever like gotten hospitalized from the people that I know. So how are your symptoms? Tennis elbow, I have no idea what automatic base clamps are. What is automatic base clamps? Okay, so an automatic base clamp looks to... Ugh. Oh, okay. So I think it's like you press a button and then it unlocks. And I think a regular base clamp is the one... There we go. So according to this, because I've never heard of automatic, but it makes sense. So an automatic base clamp seems to be you just press a button and it kind of like unlocks it for you. And a regular base clamp is you just have to actually, you know, release the pressure and not just press a button. So I guess mine is a regular base clamp and not an automatic one. So learned something new today. Awesome. Just, I'll link it, I guess. Might be a long one. Sorry about that. So, Joseph, that is a very good question, and you bring up a very good point. So, a lot of people have told me, because obviously my main platform is YouTube, a lot of people have told me that, is there a way for them to vote on the next tennis string they want me to review besides Instagram? For me, Instagram is easy because I already was kind of on Instagram to begin with because I do some drone and photography stuff, and also it's kind of like a personal account that I eventually did make into a business account, which is, you know, how you guys kind of vote on, you know, what, as weird as it sounds, what I'm gonna wear for, like, you know, an essential tennis match, which I did play on yesterday, so more on that in a little bit. But someone did bring up a point about voting via YouTube, which I'm like, oh, that's a really simple idea that I didn't think of, and I was doing research. So apparently, in order to be able to put polls on YouTube, I need to have a certain amount of subscribers, and I'm not there quite yet, and hopefully soon I will be. That being said, Joseph Bautista, I would be open to having a vote on this live stream tonight on the very next tennis string you want me to review after the RPM Blast. Because the RPM Blast is up next, like there's no doubt about it, because that's what's already voted on Instagram. But I'd be more than happy to make a quick poll that you guys would click a link on, and I could show the results and, you know, choose what to do instead of doing Instagram. Are you guys up for that? Do you want that instead of Instagram from now on? A live stream poll? So Ken, I'm not in the Chicagoland area. I'm in the Milwaukee area, which is only about hour 15, hour and a half north, depending on how many speeding rules you want to break. But if it's 70 degrees in Milwaukee, I'm sure you're able to play tennis outside in the Chicagoland area, even with the pandemic. I believe so. You're gonna have to ask some more Chicago-oriented people. I mean, the windscreens might not be up because they typically take them down mid to late October, but it wouldn't be surprising at all if you could play tennis outside in Chicago if the nice weather still holds up. Yeah, the gravity release clamp. Never heard of that either. Let's see what that. Oh, whoops. That's weird. That looks like a regular clamp, but if it only works 10% of the time, that's a crappy product. I'm happy with mine. Mine always work. Thanks, Jose. Little ASMR stuff, yeah. I'm hoping you guys don't hear the beeping that this electric tensioner does. But I'm glad that it's a little bit more relaxing, especially given, especially in the United States right now, a lot of things are going on that I really don't want to discuss. So yeah, it's been pretty stressful for everybody in the U.S. and possibly around the world because this coronavirus thing. So I'm glad that you guys can relax here, listen to some lo-fi stream beats. So it's good stuff. Three to 4 months recovery, tennis elbow. And if you're in Minneapolis, I think that's what you said where you're from. It's nice that you'll be fully recovered. When this COVID situation really starts to die down drastically, and also when summer comes up in the Midwest, which you're in if you're in the Minneapolis area. Congrats, Adrian. Yeah, that's a good win. I mean, you technically won while being infected technically, so I mean, you can scratch that off on your bucket list. Good for you. I have not tried the new Pro Staff rackets, James. Gotta get a mobile mic. I understand the amazing legacy that the Pro Staff line has, especially with the heritage of the Pro Staff 85 and the whole St. Vincent story. But obviously in modern tennis, it's really hard to kind of use it's really hard to kind of use in a competitive setting, especially in singles. So I haven't tried it, and I know Wilson has done. Actually, I know Wilson has done a pretty damn good job taking the Pro Staff base model from the late 90s, early 2000s, and kind of modernizing it. But for me, it just doesn't work well in my style of gameplay and what I kind of am expecting in a competitive singles tennis racket, being a defensive/aggressive baseliner. So I haven't tried it. Obviously, I respect it. It's a good racket for a reason. Otherwise, it would have sold out. I personally think even if it wasn't for Roger Federer, it would still have a pretty good place in the market for junior level and adult level non-professional tennis players. So I haven't tried it. If I come across it and if one of my hitting partners wants me to try it, obviously I'll mess around with it and kind of give my feedback. But never tried it, so obviously I can't comment at all. So have you tried it, James? Hey, my lights aren't moving. Come on. Do something. Boo. There you go. One of them's that. Whatever. Ambient lighting. Actually, I did see the DJI Mini 2. Apparently it's really good. They've done a really good amount of things for the Mini series. I think it could fly further, and it can record in 4K, which is absolutely fantastic. And here, let me show you. But luckily for me, I have the DJI Mavic 2 Pro, so it's not the Mini version. And I probably haven't been recording as much B-rolls using this guy as much as I did during the summer, and things have been taking off with YouTube, and actually some people are asking me to basically open a tennis club, which that's a little too risky, especially in this climate, but I'm definitely open to it in the near future. But yeah, I've been doing some B-rolls with this, and the thing with these very expensive pieces of equipment is you're not supposed to fly it when it's super windy because of the stabilization issues that it has, and it could just literally just like fly over if a 20-mile-per-hour gust of wind takes it. But also, it's really not advised that you fly it in cold temperatures because the battery starts to drain a lot. But speaking with some more drone experts, they said that you can actually fly it in like, as long as it's above 0 degrees Fahrenheit. You just have to be careful about the battery draining too quickly. So I actually might take a lot of winter shots with this when snow comes, if it's not a huge deep freeze in the Milwaukee area. Christopher Dahl, I'm assuming you mean like how long it lasts on my string bed as a tennis player before I have to restring it. So what I typically do is, no matter what type of string it is, as a tennis player, I play until it just breaks. And for me, for Hyper G for me lasts about 3 to 7 hours is kind of a big window. 3 to 7 hours of straight hitting. So for point of reference, if I am doing a hitting session like cross court for like a full hour with someone like Brian, that I would chalk up to only 45 minutes of straight hitting because of, the breaks that you need, and you're picking up balls if you dump some in the net or pull a Steve and have it fly long. And obviously if I'm playing a singles match, an hour of a singles match is maybe more like 30 minutes of straight hitting. So it's kind of like calculations I did in my head just kind of on the fly, because it's similar to like an hour private lesson, where if you're having an hour private lesson, you're actually only probably hitting 30 minutes. You've got the 15 minutes of picking up balls, getting water, and then the 15 minutes of actual verbal instruction, if you know what I mean. Hopefully that answers your question, Christopher Dahl. Hey Lucky Sill, welcome to the stream. A stringing machine cleaning video, Martin Tenniswell. That would be a good one. I'm not gonna lie though, like I know what I'm good at, and I know what I don't have a lot of experience in. And other than maybe just vacuuming and maybe not re-shining, but like just brushing off some of the dirt and some of the plastics on my string machine, I really don't have like a lot of expertise because I'm not like a mechanic or anything. But I'll definitely keep it in mind in the near future. How dirty is your machine? Oh, so Ronique Baga. So funny story of mine, right? So I'm actually a Canadian citizen. I have family in the Toronto and Mississauga area, And I'm hoping that Canada is doing well right now, especially in the big cities, given the pandemic and all of that stuff. But when it comes to tennis prices, just like I'm assuming, just like Toronto, and sorry, just like Canada, it varies based on where you live. So I'm assuming Toronto, like a nice indoor tennis club in Toronto is going to be a lot more expensive than a nice indoor tennis club in a smaller city like obviously Mississauga is not small, but it's smaller. So I'm guessing the more dense a city is, the more expensive a tennis court and basically everything else is going to be by the hour. And obviously I didn't look up any prices, but that's just the rule when it comes to economics. The relative cost of living is almost always going to be higher in a higher densely packed area. But for the Milwaukee area, Ranu, a private lesson in Milwaukee, an indoor private lesson in Milwaukee, I know it's stupid, it's $80 an hour. And I would only get, as a tennis pro, about $20 of it. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, Samuel Brick, relax on that, man. Or relax a little bit. Please don't spam. I'm hoping you recover by spring 2 tennis elbow. So Brian, that's a good question. So I actually don't think Mikhail Yuzny is an angry tennis player. And here's the thing, like, he had a bad rap for, I would say, a good reason. Eric, if you guys haven't watched this, you kind of need to. What's his name? Yeah, like, is there like a medical protocol for these kids that are taking towels coming from blood from the head of a Russian like Mikhail Yuzny? So I actually don't think Mikhail Yuzny is an angry type of tennis player. This is just a really, really bad thing that happened. Horrible, horrible day, I'm assuming. And funny enough, he actually won this tennis match. And he probably has a concussion. So he actually won this tennis match. But I don't think he's an angry person. Pretty similar to Marat Safin. Marat Safin obviously broke a lot of tennis rackets. But if you really break down Safin's character, yes, he gets angry. And he's a total Chad. Like, everybody on the men's ATP tour is such a version compared to the Chad Marat Safin, just because he's such a boss. But Safin, although he did break a lot of tennis rackets, he's never actually angry at the opponent. So I think Mikhail Yuzny, it might be a Russian thing. Mikhail Yuzny's like anger, especially in an outburst like this, is kind of similar to where it's like more internalized with the self-hatred and high expectations and probably a lot of vodka and cigarettes. But I overall don't think Mikhail Yuzny is an angry tennis player. So Brian, back to your question. Ryan Harrison or Benoit Pierre? So that's a tough one, because I know you and I and half of the world like totally just rip on Benoit Pierre, and I personally think he does have anger issues, not just because of the highlights that I've seen and some of the memeable outtakes that I've seen on YouTube, and the the tennis subreddit, which I frequent as well. But I would actually have to say Ryan Harrison is an overall significantly angrier tennis player and possibly the angriest tennis player on tour. I'll look up Ryan Harrison stuff in a little bit, but I personally think Ryan Harrison has a chip on his shoulder that's like not justified at all. It's not justified, and he takes it out on not only himself, which is, in my opinion, okay, a little self-hatred, nothing wrong with that, but he takes it out on the umpires, the crowd. It doesn't seem like he ever has fun with it. So it's unfortunate because Ryan Harrison is actually a super talented player, an amazing serve, especially he has one of the best second serves in the modern era. It's really weird. Really good forehand and a very solid backhand. He's like a Kyrgios light, but not nearly as talented. And Kyrgios, obviously, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Kyrgios has better mental strength. Oh my god, I can't believe I said that, but I think that's the truth. Ken Harris, I mean, the string intention, to be honest, that, like, I'm always going to leave it at... I'm probably always going to leave my tennis strings at 55. And I have been from my Wilson Blade 98 18 by 20 to the 2017 Yonex E-Zones to the 2020 Yonex E-Zone. Both E-Zones are 98. I've always strung at 55, always. So racket technology, not so much, because I mean, what's easier to play test? Tennis racket or tennis strings? And by easier, you know, what's more accessible? Well, a tennis racket is 200, maybe 150 bucks, maybe 130 if you have some sort of deal. Dude, Ken, tennis strings are like anywhere from an ISO-speed baseline control, which is like $2.50, to maybe a natural gut, maybe at around 45 bucks. So right now I'm really focusing on tennis strings right now, just because I think it would serve you guys as better consumers. And for me, it's not going to break my bank, because imagine if I were to test tennis rackets every week. Yeah, I could demo it, but the demos aren't, you know, they could have internal cracks. I don't know what happened with those demos, but with tennis strings, I take it out of the packet. I'm the one that strings it myself. I have the control of it. Yeah, James, the RF version 12, any RF Pro Staff, it's a beefy stick. It's you need to be a man and a half to be able to swing it. Oh, thanks, Jose. It was good. He's really easy to talk to, similar to the videos that he does. Obviously, I was a little bit nervous at first, but thankfully, especially, you know, my first tennis match with Ian. So if you guys can put an F in chat for Ian's ankle. Good thoughts to his ankle. He is recovering well. It was a good experience. I've had cameras around me growing up. That wasn't really an issue. Also, having a pretty inflated ego, to be honest, helps. But it was a good experience. And, you know, whether or not you're doing something of that caliber or you're just recording yourself playing a tennis match using your GoPro or some sort of, you know, phone or recording device, it's good to be able to see yourself and play knowing that there's theoretically an infinite amount of people watching you play. And, like, come to think of it, let's see. Yeah, so 85,000 people have watched me play tennis on one video. Actually, let's break it down. 85 plus, let's say that's 70. 85, 70, 160,000 people have watched me play tennis. That is, that's a little crazy in my opinion, but that's also pretty cool. Good, James. Pro staffs aren't like the most arm-friendly tennis rackets. I personally believe the Vocals are the best tennis rackets for people with elbow and arm problems. But if the Pro staff, which obviously is not stiff by any means like a Babolat, good for you. I'm happy that you found a control-oriented tennis racket, and hopefully the strings are good too, that you're able to play tennis with no pain. It's awesome. I didn't have a match today. I played a match at Essential Tennis, which is my third match at Essential Tennis on Wednesday, which is yesterday. But I'm not gonna. Not even Brian knows what happened, so I'm gonna keep that hush. It should be out Thursday next week, so 7 days from now, at least one of the parts, because I know he likes to split it up. So you'll take a look at that. I'll tell you right now. I played what the USTA would consider a 5-5 rating. So that's all I could kind of give you for now, because I didn't sign an NDA or anything. I did promise Ian to keep it on the down low. Martin Tennis, if you keep good care of your machine, meaning you're not eating Taco Bell or pizza and the cheese isn't dripping over to the clamps and into the surface, you're gonna be. I don't think you'd need to repair or clean your machine, other than maybe like dust it off every once in a while for at least 2 years. That's my opinion though. So I think you're fine for a bit. Yes, Tennis Elbow. It's an electric constant pull on the machine. Okay, Jan. Game style. I would consider myself either an aggressive baseliner or a defensive baseliner. My grip, so for ground strokes, obviously serves grip needs to be super relaxed. Otherwise, this motion of pronating your forearm through the shot is never going to happen. But for the ground strokes, my tip for you, Jan, is have it be very, very loose as you're taking the racket back, and then right before impact, that's when you should squeeze at about a 9 out of 10. So 10 meaning you're losing blood in your arms because you're holding it so tight, and 0 meaning you're barely holding on the racket. It should be at about a 9 right before impact, and then about a 1.5 seconds after you make impact with the ball. Sorry, about a second and a half after the ball leaves your string bed, that's when you should relax back to like a 2 or a 3. That's my opinion for you. Or that's my advice for you for that. I have a stock racket, so it's at about 11.5 ounces strung. So for the most part, I do let the weight of the racket take its course after I relax, after that second and a half after the ball leaves my string bed. Yeah, he probably, Fliger, he was probably so angry that he probably didn't even feel the carbonite or whatever racket head technology that was back in the day hitting his cranium. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he got a concussion, Ken. Yes. Kyle, that is a very good point, and if you keep thinking at that level, I'm gonna have to ban you because yes, that is a contradiction, but let's not talk about that because Marat Safin is a Chad. I'm glad you enjoyed the meme I posted on my Instagram earlier today, by the way. So obviously Kyrgios is not really a good role model, Felipe, but you do have to admit that Nick Kyrgios, his personality and his demeanor on and off the tennis court is much needed by at least the ATP tennis community, because back then, you had what's his name, Patrick McEnroe, who was this super badass from New York. He had anger issues, but he's super talented. And then to a slight extent in the late 80s to early 2000s, you had a little bit of Andre Agassi, right? Who kind of fulfilled that niche, but a little bit less of an asshole. But he's a guy with that really fake hair because he had other issues, so to speak. But he had all this flashy stuff, so he kind of fulfilled that niche. So when the Big 3/Big 4 era came in the mid 2000s to probably 2015. You had Roger Federer, who's very well spoken. You had Nadal, who's super humble and is a super introvert, in case you haven't noticed. And then you had Djokovic. He's not the same mold, personality-wise, in my opinion, as as an Andre Agassi or Patrick McEnroe. I mean, he did have a chip on his shoulder, but the thing is, he needed to, because he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And to be honest, I have a prediction that by the time Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic retires, I think Djokovic is, by, I would say, 5 Grand Slam titles, is going to be above Rafa and Roger. Martin Tennis 12, that is a good question because, well, you have to figure out what's your bottleneck. Is it money? Is it indoor court time? So when it comes to problem solving, like, so example, your problem is you have limited time / partners to play with. Well, you have to ask yourself another question is what specifically about that statement is limiting you from being able to play tennis more regularly? Because a sport like tennis, you need to be able to practice on a very regular basis. Kyle, I string until it breaks. Unless I have a huge tournament coming up and I know that it's close to breaking, I typically, 95% of the time, I keep the strings in there until they snap. I have not. I've tried natural gut once, and yes, it did feel. It did feel better than insert explicitive here. It did feel better than something like a Wilson NXT, but as a regular consumer, it's not worth the price, dude. It's not worth the price. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm using all polys right now, so there's no way I'm ever doing natural gut. It did feel really good though, but definitely not for me. What do you mean by grip? Like, are you talking about my over grip? I use the Gamma replacement grip, which is what Brian kind of turned me on to. It's fantastic. Little advice: never buy the Babolat over grips. They're absolute pieces of trash, and they're discounted for a reason. Let's put it that way. So the best over grips I've ever tried are the Gamma Supreme over grips, the Yonex over grip, and then Wilson's make really good one, but the Wilson ones are super expensive. James, I tried the Twitch thing, and I used it for gaming, like Advanced Warfare, and then I realized I'm not good enough in Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Warzone, to get an audience going. So I quit that, which is fine. But I did my market research, and based on about 5 or 6 factors, I think streaming on YouTube for this type of content is much more beneficial to you guys. And another thing is, the biggest reason is, if I'm already doing tennis string reviews and tennis related content on YouTube, and if I want to stream tennis related content, it would make a lot of sense for it to be on the same platform. You get what I'm saying? George Ning, I would say just like kind of like a car or a house. Figure out the break-even point of when you should bite the bullet. And in my opinion, this is my personal thing, right? I used to be a financial advisor. I'm not anymore. I would highly suggest you get it as soon as possible. Not only because of the money that you could save by stringing your own rackets, not only because of the experience you have about knowing about tennis strings, not just because you're watching my YouTube channel, I'm assuming, but also because you start to feel like what type of strings are what, if there's actually a difference between something like a Yonex Polytour Pro, a Babolat RPM Blast, or an ISOSpeed baseline control. But also, if you have a good enough network, you could start stringing rackets for them, and you make a little bit of money on the side, and you gain more experience stringing tennis rackets. But most of all, you're servicing the people around you by having them save money instead of going to a tennis shop or a tennis club and just getting ripped the hell off. That's my advice to you, George Ding. I didn't feel a drop in tension from the Yonex Polytour Pro, Christopher Moy. I didn't have any. I mean, obviously it's going to drop a little bit, but nothing like. Nothing noticeable, in my opinion. Oh, so for the one-handed grip to forehand grip? So it's kind of weird because it's not what you actually think it is. So Corrupt GT. So when you're in ready position, right? And if you have one-hand backhand and you're a righty, which I am. So pretend this is my ready position because I know the desk is kind of high right now. So your ready position should always be at the forehand grip ready, right? Because all you need to do, see it coming to the right side, boom, there you go. So if you see it coming to the left side, or if you feel like it's coming to the left side, believe it or not, it's not the right hand, which is this hand. It's not the right hand that actually changes. It's actually the left hand that's on the throat of the racket that actually changes the racket position until your right hand is in that one-handed backhand grip. That's a good question though, Corrupt GT. It's a good one. Assembled brick, I right now use Solinco Hyper G at 55 pounds. Oh, thanks, Lucky Still. Didn't even really notice, but I appreciate the shout out. My personal favorite string right now is, because it's what I use, is the Solinco Hyper G assembled brick. Oh, did I say John? Did I say Patrick McEnroe? I apologize, I apologize, Tennis Elbow. I obviously meant John McEnroe. I apologize. My favorite WTA player. It depends on what. Damian Chan. Who is my favorite WTA player because of blank? And keep it at least PG-13. Yeah, I'm surprised not more Vegas people are playing tennis because it seems like perfect weather. High school tennis year. So I was in high school from 2004 to 2008, so keep that in mind. I'm 30, almost 31. It was fine. I qualified for state my sophomore year in singles, and then my senior year, I qualified for state in doubles in Illinois. And Illinois is very tough. Ooh, a natty gut polyhybrid. I would break it too quickly. Will Wong, I haven't tried the Hyper G Soft, but I'm definitely thinking hardcore on playtesting it soon. Even though Jan, that Natty Gut for $14 in wholesale, that is a good deal if that's something that you want. Unfortunately for me, actually I would say fortunately for me, I'm more into polys right now given how fast I break multifilaments. Yeah, Flagger, the Babolat overgrip, it's like dusty. That's the best way I can describe it. Where like it moves a little bit when you don't expect it to on like slight mishits. Where the Yonex overgrip, the Gamma Supreme overgrip, and the Wilson overgrip, they stay firmly in your hand, even if it on a slight mishit. So what I do, Alberto, for stringing is if my client supplies the string, I charge $10 just for the labor, and that's not too bad. Obviously, I'm streaming right now, and answering and hanging out with you guys, so obviously it's taking me a while. But all things considered, I could string a tennis racket in 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. 12 minutes meaning like, there's no notching on the crosses. It's an open string pattern instead of closed, and if they don't have strings. I will upcharge them some of my material, but not like not too much. I only upcharge maybe about 10% above cost, just as like not like a forced tip, but like as a convenience fee, I would say. I always recommend that all my clients like purchase like a reel that they want from like an online retailer, and then they give me the reel so it's in my stock room for me to just kind of whip out, so they don't have to give me a packet or a reel every time they want me to restring a racket. Oh, this sucks. I'm playing Ken Harris about every day, which is actually probably a bad idea because my knees are starting to I'm starting to notice the wear and tear of my knees, specifically the cartilage. So in order to combat that, I'm doing a lot of biking, like an indoor bike at my local gym, because it's easier on the knees and it's still good cardio, it's a good leg workout. I also do a lot of stretching and a lot of hip thrusts from our conversations, obviously. The only part that's ever sore for me are my actual knees, which is both a good and a bad thing, meaning my knees are crap, but my muscle endurance and my overall body besides my knees are actually in tip-top shape for a 30-year-old. And I'm hitting with physical monsters like around the D1 level for tennis. What's V5? Tennis elbow. Assembled brick. Don't try the Solinko tour bite unless you want to get elbow surgery, like tennis elbow is. Try the Solinko Hyper G. Gidrius, I know that I haven't tested the RPM Blast, but I think the Solinko Hyper G does give me more spin. That's my personal opinion, though. George Ding, get a used one if you can. I've been stringing rackets, Martin 10 of 12. I've been stringing rackets for what's 8th grade? 14? I've been stringing rackets for 16 years. Do I think that you string pretty? Yeah, I mean, I like to have my crosses straight. I hope so, Lucky Cell. The toughest string to string a racket is the Solinko barbed wire. It's freaking terrible. Yeah, RPM Blast is super expensive, and I'm pretty sure it's super overrated. Alberto, how long did it take you to string your first racket? Because when I was in 8th grade, so I was, 13 or 14, I strung my very first tennis racket. Keep in mind, I was in 8th grade. It took me literally 6 hours to string, and I started crying as soon as my mom came home, and I told my mom, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. Just tears running out of my eyes because I did not do a good job with it. It was terrible. But I mean, look at me now. So just keep at it. But I'm just wondering how long it took you to string your racket. Will Wong, I have a long racket history, so that might be a video in itself. Angel Rackets, David Hill? I've heard of that. It's different. I'll give it that. See if I could grab a hand on these. The worst poly multi you could have, Damien, and this is just from a durability standpoint, if you're doing a hybrid, your mains, your polys, because they could be your crosses. Your poly should not be shaped. You're doing it absolutely wrong if your polys are shaped, because it's just gonna cut into the softer string. Jiao, I love clay. Clay, I'm a better clay court player than I'm a better clay court singles player than a hardcore singles player. Is this pretty enough for you guys? Thanks, Sergio. I could do racket reviews. It's expensive. Because a racket, unless you could find, a good demo that you trust, a racket is, dude, $150. Tennis strings are anywhere from $2.50 to possibly $50 if it's a natural cut. So it's a lot cheaper to test tennis strings. I am assembled brick. I am thinking about. I am definitely thinking about making a tennis stringing kind of like guide. Lucky Sill, be prepared to slide a lot. Sliding is fun. All right, Ken, you have a good one. MM962. Those things are actually, I do enjoy stuff like that, and they do have a very good point. I've noticed in the past, like, oh my god, I've had a one-hander for 10 years now, that my one-hander is a lot more able to be hit flat. So there is something I need to fix on my forehand, and that's something that I am working on with my hitting partners to be able to drive through the forehand a little bit more. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, guys, so moment you've been waiting for. So someone did make a comment earlier in the stream about me doing the voting for what string I'm going to be reviewing not on Instagram anymore. So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment, right? So the very next string I'm going to be reviewing is a Babylon RPM Blast. That's absolutely set in stone. As you can see, Babylon RPM Blast is right there. That's what I'm going to be playtesting relatively soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a poll. I'm going to put a link on it down in the comments below. And I just want you to vote on the very next one you want me to string. And I'll be sure that I give you guys like, what, 5 to 10 minutes to be able to do it. Does that sound okay? I don't have the Genesis White Magic, Brian. I don't. Something else. I don't have the Battle Pro Hurricane Tour either. You did not give it to me today when we had. So, tennis elbow. This front, yeah, I know, but I have two more that I literally have right here that I'm gonna use for dramatic effect in order for them to vote. So, for my camera setup tennis elbow, this one, the front one, which is hooked up to my main monitor, this is the Logitech Brio. It goes for about $200. And then this one, this beefy boy, is not exactly a webcam. It's a little bit more expensive. This is a Sony a6600 for the body, and then the lens is a Sigma 18mm to 35mm at an f-stop of 1.8. It's a very good all-around lens for photography and actually does a pretty decent job as an all-around videography lens. I hope that answers your question. You did not miss it yet. I'm doing one vote, assembled brick, and then I'm gonna do another vote for the content idea that I want to run by you guys, since you guys are the ones that are the most important at the end of the day. Luke Penley, that comes with a lot of experience with hitting the ball at a relatively high level. They just start to feel dead. Also, another thing, this isn't my video, but I'll show you what it is. Oh, anytime, MM962, no problem. So Luke, this is what you call a string meter. I think this was only about 25 bucks on an online retailer. And this actually gauges the true tension of the tennis string. So if you are a regular tennis player, and actually I would argue if you're a regular tennis player and whether or not you string, you should get this no matter what, because if you're a stringer, you know what tension your strings are at after X amount of hours, because there is a drop off in tension after a bit. Also, if you're not a tennis stringer, you should use this to call bullshit on any of your racket stringers that you think are really messing up. It's a good little check. It's only 25 bucks. I have tried out the Pro Staff way back in the day. I played with a K, get this, K Factor 90 in college in 2010. That was when I was 150 pounds and like 5% body fat, and I was strong as a bull. But obviously, I needed something with a little bit more pop nowadays. Okay, so before I actually give you guys the poll, right? I'm gonna give you guys two strings. What I want you to do is take about 5 minutes and research what string you want me to review next. Go to an online retailer like Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Express, or just overall in the forums if you just Google search these two strings. And I'm gonna give you guys a link down in this live chat section for you guys to click on it. And I will reveal the results at about, let's say 5 minutes, because 10 minutes might be a really long time. Does that sound good? It's called a Turna string meter. Oh, it does an autofocus. That's cool. Nice. I didn't know that. Okay. Here we go. Your two choices are that you'll vote as soon as I show you guys this. Oh, reviewed it. Shoot. First one is the Technofiber 4S. And your next one is the Gamma Ocho 16. So in about a minute, I'm gonna leave, or in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna leave a polling link down in the live chat below. Vote, and then I'll reveal it in 5 minutes time. Okay, so before I give you guys the polling thing, do your research, see what string between these two you want me to review after the Battle RPM Blast. I don't have Triax. Brian, I don't know what Brian was. I don't know how you guys know I have Triax. I don't. These are the last two strings I have left. See you, Brian. Thanks for hanging out. All right, here we go. If you guys want to, share this with your friends that aren't even on the stream. And I know that you guys can't double vote because there is a duplicate IP server address check. So, nice try. You guys got 5 minutes. Hey Google, set an alarm for 5 minutes.
Got it. Your alarm's set for today at 8:30 p.m.
And let's see how many crosses I can do in 5 minutes. Interesting results. Okay. Hey Google, how much time left?
The alarm will go off in 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
All right, guys, you have just over 2 minutes left. Hey Google, cancel all alarms, please. In 5 minutes, I was 5 minutes I did 12 crosses plus the knots, so not too bad, huh? Not too bad. Yes, Luke Penley, you are right. I'm a PC gamer, and I can't wait until World of Warcraft Shadowlands and Cyberpunk 2077 release. I'm actually glad they got delayed because they need some polish. Ah, Sir Soy Boy, the one and only. Oh, I'll share my details next stream. I have no problem doing that. I have the parts because it was from Digital Storm. So it's custom made, obviously not by me because I don't have that much time. So it's yeah, it's custom made. So it was expensive. Oh, thanks, Kodizmi. It's pretty good. Like my Sony A600 right over there. Don't mind the mess. I was doing some condo renovations, but I think I'm done now. So I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I'll share details on my build, no problem. Okay, so before I reveal the actual thing, if you guys want to leave after the stream, because I only have about 15 minutes left, if you want to leave the stream after I reveal what this is, no problem. You guys can always drop off anytime you want. I don't want to take too much of your time, and I don't want you guys to feel like I'm bloating this at all. I'm here to hang out with you guys. I've been answering a lot of questions, a lot of interesting questions, a lot of awesome ones, so I'm always happy to do that for you guys. I do want to have, it's kind of like a one-off video, and I want to get your guys' input in another poll similar to this. But before I actually reveal the results, I'm playing a buddy of mine on Saturday, and he's a high 4-5 singles player. I would argue he's stronger than my most recent match against Topher in my second match in my YouTube channel. So the funny thing is, he kind of plays like a 4-5 Nadal, where he's lefty and has a two-handed backhand, has a lot of spin, and he is one of the most fittest guys I know. So it's going to be a battle. So I'm recording the match on Saturday afternoon. I'm hoping to get the video out to you guys by Monday morning. So just be on the lookout for that in my match play content. And I'll have it professionally edited, like my other match plays. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. So just be on the lookout for that. Just a heads up. Which one, the Wilson Blade or the Babolat Sir Soul Blade? Who's Ben? Oh, Ben, most exhausting tennis player. I gotta text Ian because I do have his phone number because we text about every other day about me helping him get tennis players and matches on his channel. So I'll definitely toss that up to Ian because I'm kind of scared to play Ben, the most exhausting tennis player, because I hate his game style, but you also have to appreciate how much work that game style takes because it's not pretty, but it gets the job done. The 16x19 blade over here, it's a damn good racket, so it's a good choice. Not that I know of. I think the MSV Focus Hex might be a good one. I haven't play tested it though. So the Silica Confidential is already decently cheap for consumers at $160 a reel. The MSV Focus Hex is $80 a reel, so it's like half off. So I'll definitely consider a string review that in the near future. So good question. Yeah. Okay. So between the Ocho and the Technofiber, the Gamma Ocho and the Technofiber 4S, The winner is 18 votes? And there's 27 people watching? 9 people didn't vote? Man. Well, can't force you guys to vote. And the winner is... Gamma Ocho by literally 2 votes, standing in at a 10. So, that means Gamma Ocho goes on the wall. Protect the fiber forest, back in the box. Martin 10 to 12, always stick with 16. And if you feel like you need a higher launch angle and more ball pocketing and don't care too much about durability, keep dropping gauge. Tennis elbow, you want a recount in literally probably half of America. Hey, at least I gave you guys a quicker, significantly quicker turnaround time than Nevada. All right, you gotta give me props for that. And there is no voter fraud because I did. There is an IP duplicate check that I enabled here, so there is no voter fraud. Okay, so I'm gonna put up another poll, right? And it's one of those things that, again, like a lot of these ideas coming up, and I think to myself, yeah, it's actually a good idea, and I never actually thought about it. And you know, you guys bring up some really good ideas, and I definitely consider like most of them, unless it's way far out in left field. So I want to do this. Let's try this. Hawaiian grip, yes, and he had elbow surgery 5 years ago. Yes, don't do Hawaiian grip. So, there was a comment in one of my videos that said they wanted me to do a bag check. I'm like, okay. That's actually not a bad idea. It's obviously a one-off thing. And that would be probably about a 3-minute video, not too much, right? But another thing that actually came out of this live chat, literally just in this live stream, people were asking me to do basically kind of like a stringing tutorial, or at least I could do parts of a string tutorial. Parts of a string tutorial based off of several segments, right? No, a Zebel brick. Yeah, I know it would be awesome. Well, snacks, I mean, you know, I'm going to have a pizza. I'm going to have some Taco Bell, possibly some KFC in one of the side pockets. You all know that. But I'll leave you guys up to vote on what kind of one-off video you want me to do next week. So I'll make another poll, okay? Oh my God, Spencer Lynch, the one and only. How are you doing, man? Spencer Lynch is a friend of mine that I haven't seen in about 4 years, and me and him used to play a lot of tennis back in the college days and go out drinking and do stupid stuff. So glad to see he's here. I love Wisconsin. It's very relaxed here. I live about 10 minutes west of Milwaukee, so there's still kind of a nightlife. Cost of living is not bad at all, unlike Chicago. And if I do want to go party down Chicago, it's only about an hour, 15-minute drive, Vishnu Menon. So I love it. The only thing I dislike, I hate the Packers. I absolutely hate the Packers. That's the only thing I hate about Wisconsin. Here's your poll. What video do you want me to see next? You guys vote? All right. Ready for this? Tennis bag check it is. I may or may not have to remove some substances from my bag before I do this because it's still illegal in Wisconsin, but we'll see where that lands before the video. Laterally, that sounds right. Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I got 2 rackets done, answered a lot of your questions, got 2 votes in. So after the RPM blast, it is the Gamma Ocho. And then a tennis bag check sometime next week. Nice tennis elbow. So just to reiterate, I am playing tennis with a buddy of mine who's one of my regular hitting partners. It's not Brian. One of my regular hitting partners that's not Brian. And he plays like a 4-5 Rafa Nadal. People say I play like a 4-5 Roger Federer, minus the receding hairline. So we'll see how that works out. I'll have that uploaded hopefully by Monday or Tuesday next week. So be on the lookout for that. And yes, he is a stronger player. He is a stronger singles player than anybody I've played in the past that I featured in my tennis video so far. So it's going to be a tough one. Yeah. Uzney. Love the guy. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down in one of my sections, one of my comment sections in my videos. I usually try and answer that almost every single night before I go to bed, before I get too sleepy. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll be streaming again Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And obviously, goes without saying, happy hitting, guys.